This is you. Badge on the left hip, Glock 22 on the right. DEA special agent, 12 years in. You have put away cartel lieutenants. You have testified in federal court 41 times. You once shook the hand of the Attorney General of the United States, and she told you personally that agents like you are the reason the war on drugs is winnable. You smiled and said thank you. And last night, at 2 a.m, in a gas station bathroom off Route 9, you crushed a line of cocaine on the back of your own government ID and snorted it through a rolled $20 bill. Let's go back. Not 12 years, not even 5, just 18 months. Because that's all it took, 18 months. To dismantle everything you spent a decade building, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. 18 months to become the thing you swore over your brother's grave you would spend your life destroying. You grew up in Albuquerque, middle-class neighborhood, nothing dramatic, good parents. Your father sold insurance. Your mother taught 3rd grade for 22 years. Your older brother Danny was the funny one, the one who walked into a room and made it louder just by existing. Everyone loved Danny. You loved Danny. When Danny was 17, someone handed him a pill at a house party. Just one pill, offered like it was nothing, like it was candy. He didn't even want it, you found out later. He just didn't want to look scared. 8 months after that party, you were standing in a hospital corridor with your mother. While a nurse pulled back a white sheet, your mother didn't cry. That's the thing you've never been able to shake. Not the body, not the fluorescent lights. The fact that your mother, the woman who cried at insurance commercials, who cried when you lost a little league game at 10 years old, she just went completely, utterly still, like something fundamental in her had just switched off. You enrolled in the academy the following year. Some people join law enforcement for the job security, some for the structure, some because they don't know what else to do. You joined because you were 20 years old and furious, and you needed to point that fury at something. The DEA pointed it in a direction, and you were good. Genuinely, remarkably good. You had instincts that couldn't be taught. You could read a room in 30 seconds, read a source, read a lie, sit across from a man who had rehearsed his story for weeks, and find the single thread that, when pulled, unraveled everything. Agent of the Year, 3rd year in, framed certificate on the wall. Supervisor called you a generational talent. Your mother came to the ceremony. First time you'd seen her smile, really smile, since the hospital corridor. You remember thinking, this is it. This is what Danny's death meant. This is the reason. You need to understand something about this job before we go further. People think it's like the movies, raids and adrenaline and bad guys in handcuffs. And yes, there's that. But mostly it's 31-hour stretches without sleep. It's a marriage slowly going cold in a house you're never home to heat. It's paperwork that multiplies faster than you can file it. It's watching a case you built for 8 months get thrown out on a technicality, and then shaking the defense attorney's hand in the hallway, because that's what professionals do. It's sitting across from addicts, hundreds of them, over the years, and somewhere around year 8, you stop seeing them as criminals and start seeing something more uncomfortable. You start seeing people who were fine until they weren't. People who had one bad week or one bad night or one moment where someone handed them something and they didn't want to look scared. You file that thought away. You don't examine it too closely. The Delgado case started 14 months before any of this. Luis Delgado, mid-level distributor with ambitions above his station, connected to a Sonora cartel pipeline moving product through 3 states. You'd been building the case for months. Surveillance, wiretaps, turning sources. The kind of slow, meticulous architecture that wins in federal court. But it was bleeding you. 31-hour shifts were becoming routine. Your supervisor needed updates constantly. The prosecutor on the case was nervous, pushing for more, always more before he'd commit to an indictment. And at home, Sarah, your wife of 9 years, patient, intelligent, kind, in a way that made you feel guilty even when you hadn't done anything wrong yet. She'd stopped asking when you'd be home for dinner, not because she gave up, because she loved you enough to stop making you feel bad about a job she knew you needed. That made it worse somehow. The house was becoming a place you slept in. 2 ships passing in a kitchen. The first time was a Tuesday. You and your team had just hit a stash house in South Phoenix. 3 a.m. raid, clean entry. 3 arrests, 40 kilos off the street. Good day by every measurable standard. You're standing in the parking lot afterward, exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix anymore. The kind of tired that gets into your bones and sets up residence. Reyes, your teammate, good man, 15 years on the job, hands you a beer. And then your CI appears at the edge of the scene. His name is Tomas. You've been running him for 2 years. Good information, reliable, walks the line between 2 worlds, and somehow survives in both. He pulls you aside, casual, like he's commenting on the weather. He looks at your face and says, "You look like you haven't slept in a week, man." You say, "Try to." He reaches into his jacket, places a small folded paper square in your palm, doesn't explain it, doesn't wait for an answer. Just says, "Take the edge off," and walks away. You tell yourself you're going to throw it away. You carry it in your jacket pocket. Through the debrief, through the drive home, through standing in your dark kitchen at 5 a.m. eating cold leftovers over the sink, you carry it for 4 hours. Then you're in a gas station bathroom. And every professional instinct, every oath you took, every memory of your mother's face in that hospital corridor is suddenly very far away. And you are just a man who is so tired, so completely, utterly tired. You tell yourself it's situational. One time, occupational hazard. You've been submerged in this world for 12 years. Breathing it in, maybe some of it just seeped through, just this once. You already know, even as you think it, that this is the most dangerous sentence in the English language. But you think it anyway. Here's what they never tell you. Here's the thing that no DARE poster, no training module, no testimony from a recovered addict in a church basement ever quite captures. The first time when you are that depleted, that hollowed out, that desperate to feel like a functioning human for just a few hours, it works. Not like you expected, not dramatic, just the noise stops. The Delgado case, the prosecutor, the paperwork, the cold house, Sarah's patient silence, all of it recedes like a tide going out. And what's left is just you. Sharp, clear, firing on every cylinder the way you used to 6 or 7 years ago before the job started eating you from the inside. You drive back to the office. File 3 hours of paperwork in 45 minutes. Write a case summary your supervisor calls the best he's read all year. He says, "Whatever you had for dinner, keep eating it." You smile. You wait 3 weeks before you contact Tomas. You tell yourself those 3 weeks are proof you're in control. 3 weeks is actually a very short time. You buy from him directly. Small amount. Strictly situational. Long shifts only. Never during active operations. Rules. You have rules, which means you have control. The rules last about 6 weeks. By month 3, you have a second source. By month 5, if you are being clinically precise, and you know how to be clinically precise, you've done it 100 times across an interrogation table. You have a dependency, but it's different when it's you. You understand the pharmacology. You know exactly what this does to the prefrontal cortex, to the dopamine pathways, to the decision-making architecture of the human brain. Knowledge is protection, right? That's the lie. That's actually the most dangerous version of the lie, because it's dressed in the clothes of intelligence. The truth is, the brain doesn't care how much you know about it. The chemistry doesn't negotiate. The double life assembles itself quietly. A hidden stash in the false bottom of a field kit bag. The same bag you've carried on raids for 9 years. A second phone. Cheap. Prepaid. Lives in the glove box. New rhythms. New routes. Gas stations you've never mentioned. And here's the part that should disturb you more than it does. You are still good at your job. Closing cases. Making arrests. Still the agent your supervisor points to when someone asks what excellence looks like. Still testifying. Under oath. While somewhere in your bloodstream, the thing you're testifying against is still running. There's a case you worked in month 7. Small-time dealer, 23 years old, Kid from Scottsdale who started selling to pay his tuition and couldn't find the exit. You sit across from him in the interrogation room. He's scared, trying not to show it, doing that thing where you make your face go flat because you think it reads as confidence. You've seen it 1,000 times. You walk him through it methodically. The evidence, the witnesses, the charges he's looking at. You watch the flat face crumble slowly like a wall in the rain. Eventually he starts talking, and at some point he looks at you across that table and he says, "I knew it was destroying me. I just couldn't stop. It stopped feeling like a choice." You nod, professionally, empathetically. You write it in your notes. You drive home. You sit in the driveway for 6 minutes. Then you go inside and you tell Sarah you're going to bed early. And you lie there on your back in the dark, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the word choice. Month 8, Annual DARE presentation. Elementary school, 6th graders. You volunteer for it every year. Because Danny was 12 years old the first time someone offered him something at school, you're standing in front of 42 11-year-olds, talking about the brain, about dopamine, about reward pathways, about how addiction isn't a moral failure, it's a biological process. The brain learning incorrectly that something is essential to survival. About how by the time it feels like a choice, it often isn't anymore. A little girl in the front row raises her hand. She asks, "Has anyone you know ever been addicted?" You say, "Yes, my brother." You tell them about Danny, not the hospital, not the sheet, the before version. The version who taught you to ride a bike in the church parking lot on Saturday mornings. Patient, laughing every time you fell. "Again," he'd say. "You almost had it. Again." The kids are quiet in that particular way. Kids get quiet when they know they're hearing something real. The little girl in the front row is looking at you with enormous, serious eyes. You finish the presentation. You shake the principal's hand. You walk to your car. You sit in it for a long time. Month 10. Sarah finds a receipt. Not the stash, not the phone. A receipt from a gas station off Route 9. Time stamped 2:17 a.m. On a night you told her you were doing overnight surveillance, she doesn't confront you. That's not Sarah's way. She just places it on the kitchen counter when you come home. Sits at the table, hands folded. Asks you, very quietly, in the voice she reserves for things that matter. "Are you okay?" 2 words, 3 syllables. 12 years of interrogation training. A man who has made a career of reading people, of finding the hairline fracture in any story. You look your wife in the eye, and you say, "I'm fine, it's just the Delgado case. It's almost over." She nods slowly. She wants so badly to believe you. You can see it. The wanting. You walk to the bathroom, run the faucet, grip the sides of the sink, look at yourself in the mirror for a long time. You've stood across from hundreds of people who were lying. You know every tell, every micro-expression, every way the body betrays the story. The man in the mirror is displaying 4 of them. Month 11. You're running a sting in a parking garage downtown. Undercover buy. Mid-level supplier moving weight across county lines. He lays the product on the hood of the car. You're cataloging it. Evidence. Professional assessment. And then involuntary, animal, completely outside your control. A different part of your brain activates. Like a second voice. It lasts maybe half a second, but you recognize it. Because you've sat across from 100 people and asked them, clipboard in hand, clinically, "When did you know you had a problem?" Almost all of them describe this exact moment. The moment the wanting showed up somewhere it had no business being. The moment you realized it wasn't waiting for permission anymore. You complete the operation, make the arrest, do everything right. Sit in your car for 13 minutes. Hands on the wheel, engine off. 3 days ago, the call comes in. New target, East Side Network, mid-level supplier with upstream connections. Name, Rafael Mendez. You pull the file, start reading. Known associates, supply chain, distribution network. You're halfway down page 7 when you see the name. Tomas, your CI. The man who handed you a folded paper square in a parking lot 18 months ago. The man you've been buying from since month 3. You read it twice. Then you sit very still for a moment. Because you understand immediately, with the clarity that comes from 12 years of building cases, exactly what this means. Tomas is connected to Mendez, which means the Mendez investigation, if it goes where it's going, will pull Tomas's full network into the light. Every transaction, every buyer, your name is in that supply chain. Not as an agent, as a customer, you have options. You know how this machinery works better than anyone in this building. You could redirect the investigation, quietly steer it away from the thread that leads to Tomas. Find another angle, another witness, another way into Mendez. Cases get redirected all the time. You could warn Tomas, give him 48 hours to disappear. Sources go dark, it happens. Or you could do what you've been doing for 18 months. Keep moving, keep functioning, keep telling yourself you're managing it. Tell yourself you'll get clean after the Mendez case closes. After things slow down, after the next thing, and the next thing, and the next. Last night, you drove to the gas station off Route 9. Not because you needed to, because you needed to. Bathroom, overhead light humming, cracked tile, a paper towel dispenser that's been broken for months. You've been here so many times now that the attendant knows your face. He doesn't know what you do here, or maybe he does and he just doesn't care. You looked at yourself in that mirror for a long time. Government ID on the counter. You thought about Danny. You thought about that little girl in the front row with the enormous serious eyes. You thought about Sarah at the kitchen table, hands folded, wanting so badly to believe you. You thought about your mother in the hospital corridor, going still. And then you stopped thinking. This morning, you are sitting at your desk, Mendez file open in front of you, Tomas's name on page 7, your service weapon on your hip, your Agent of the Year certificate on the wall across the room. And in the false bottom of your field kit bag, 3 feet to your left, what started as relief, what became routine, what is now, if you are being honest with yourself, clinically, precisely honest, the way you would be if you were sitting across from someone else. The only thing that still feels like your desk phone starts ringing. Your supervisor's extension, calling about Mendez, wants a direction, wants a plan, wants to know which thread you're going to pull. You think about Danny at 15, church parking lot. Saturday morning, again. You almost had it, again. You think about your mother, going still. You think about the kid from Scottsdale, 23 years old, sitting across from you in that interrogation room. It stopped feeling like a choice. The phone keeps ringing, 7 times, 8. You look at the Mendez file, you look at the field kit bag, you look at the certificate on the wall, and for the first time in 18 months, you don't reach for the thing that makes it easier. You just sit there, with all of it, the weight of every decision, every compromise, every just this once. The receipt on the counter, Sarah's folded hands, Marcus's daughter. No, that's a different story, a different ghost. Your ghost is Danny, always Danny. The phone stops ringing. The office is quiet. Your hand is hovering over the receiver. You're going to call your supervisor back. You don't know yet what you're going to say, but there's something else you need to do first. Something you haven't done in 18 months. Something that terrifies you more than any raid, any cartel, any federal courtroom. You need to tell the truth. Not in an interrogation room. Not under oath, just to yourself. In a quiet office, on a Tuesday, the same way it started. You joined the DEA because you thought you understood the enemy. You thought the enemy lived in stash houses and cartel networks, and parking lots where deals went down at midnight. You thought the enemy was out there. You never once considered the enemy was always the part of every human brain that wants relief from pain so badly. It will trade anything for it. Anything. Your brother's life, your marriage, your badge, your name, your reflection in a gas station mirror at 2 in the morning. You pick up the phone. You dial, not your supervisor, the employee assistance line, the number that's been on the back of your ID badge for 12 years. The number you've given to exactly 0 people, because that's not the kind of agent you are. It rings twice. Someone answers, and you open your mouth. And for the first time in 18 months, you say the true thing. My name is Special Agent. Your voice breaks. Just slightly. Just enough. I need help. The war on drugs has claimed a lot of casualties. Cartel soldiers, street dealers, kids at house parties who didn't want to look scared, and federal agents sitting at their desks on a Tuesday morning, finally understanding that the bravest thing they've ever done isn't any raid, any arrest, any testimony. It's 2 words. I need help. Danny would have said the same thing. If someone had given him the room to say it, you're giving yourself that room now, 18 months late. But still, you almost had it. Again,